Good afternoon. My name is Jemima Mulinge, a CBM Group 1, and with me are my colleagues. At the far right side, we have David, who is our secretary. At the middle, we have Maureen Jomo, who is our vice chairperson. And next to me is Lazarus, who is one of our member. In this group, we discussed effects of inflation on the performance of small and medium-sized enterprises. We talked about inflation is sustained spike in the general price level of goods and services. Also, inflation rises purchasing power, declines, meaning end users are able to buy fewer goods and services with the same amount of money. Also, small and medium-sized enterprises are vulnerable to uh, the effect of inflation because of limited capital reserves, smaller profit margins, and reduced bargaining power compared to large corporates. We have the overview where we talked about SMEs operate SMEs operate with limited financial reserves and they are more vulnerable to economic fluctuations compared to larger organizations. We are moving next to sorry we are moving next to the procedures and methodology which were used, and I'm going to request Lazarus to talk about it.
Thank you. The purpose of the report we analyze how the inflation affect the performance of cement. This report is based on the qualitative data, the qualitative research approach using the secondary data researches. The information we have collected, they organize, and interpret and provide the understanding of relationship between reflection and Siemens performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Lazarus. Anyone with something to add? Okay, let's move to analysis and discussion, and Maureen is going to take us through.
Okay, thank you, Jemima. So, the analysis on the analysis, we came up with the effect of inflation to SMEs, and we came up with different points. So the first one was the increased production costs, and when I say production costs, I factor in fuel, transportation, electricity, raw materials. When the cost of production goes high, the margins of the SMEs they go down. There's also cash flow issues. When there's cash flow issues, the customers are not get things on debt, yet the cost of production still remains the same. So hence it affects the SME, because you see, when you keep on giving things on debt and you're not getting paid, there is no profit that you are making. There's also the increased borrowing costs. When I say about borrowing costs, I bring in banks, I bring in microfinances, because these SMEs they usually get money from those microfinances. So, and they've increased the interest rates. So the margins which they are getting when they pay the interest rates, the margins that they are remained with is too little for them. There's also price challenges, because let's say, for example, these SMEs they compete with so many competitors. So when they increase the prices, it makes some customers to just move to the competitors. So there is loss of customers. There's also uh, there's also the reduced customer purchasing power. Sorry. So when there is reduced purchasing power, customers will only buy what is necessary. They'll not go for the flashy things, which some SMEs they have restocked. So the SME ends up being remain with the dead stock in their shops. So those are some of the effects of inflation that we came up with during the report.
Thank you, Maureen. That was well explained. Let's move to the strategic responses SMEs may adopt in order to maintain performance during the inflation period. David is going to explain it to us.
Thank you, Jemima. Some of the strategic responses that the SMEs need to adopt in order to curb inflation include number one, they need to come up with a negotiable supplier price contracts. In these contracts, they may have prices which are locked for a period of time, like 1 year or 2 years. And it means that at any particular time when they are doing the buying or they are doing the purchasing, they are following those particular prices because they are already locked. Number two, they also need to implement they need to implement on gradual price adjustments uh, based on the market. At the same time, they also need to offer value added products and services. They also need to introduce what we call alternative products in the market, which will attract a wider range of markets or customer segments. And last but not the least, they also need to improve on the cash flows, or whereby they need to have a forecasting in such a case that in the event that the inflation will go up, they've already forecasted for that. And last but not the least, they also need to have what we call emergency kitties or emergency reserves. They may keep these reserves for the purpose of just in the event of any eventuality, they are already taken care of. So those are some of the points that I need the SMEs they need to take to have a responsive strategic plan to curb inflation. Thank you.
David, that was well explained. Thank you so much. Let's move to recommendation. And our question today will be, what are some of the recommendations should be taken by small and medium-sized enterprises? What are some of the recommendations that should be taken by small and medium-sized enterprises? Let me start with Lazarus.
Thank you, Jemima. The business should adopt technology and to improve efficiency to reduce operation costs when they are doing their business.
Thank you, Lazarus. Maureen, please.
Maybe I can add one point. So SME should regularly review and adjust the pricing strategies so that they can be able to compete with the market. So I think, David, you can add something, right?
Yeah, sure. Um, some of the recommendations that the SMEs can do is they can diversify on different products and services that will attract a bigger customer segments in different organizations, I mean, in different sectors. Number two, the government and the financial institutions, they should come up with supportive policies uh, to help the SMEs be able to access the financial assistance, possibly with lower interest rates when the inflation happens. And by so doing, they will be supporting the SMEs, and they'll be able to maintain their margins or their profit margins even when the inflation is ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, team. We have come to the end of our discussion. I appreciate your coordination. Let's call it a day. Maybe if there is anyone who wants to add something, maybe before we close. Okay, thank you so much.